Fame often looks like a dream from the outside luxury mansions, screaming fans, red carpets, and flashing cameras. Celebrities seem untouchable, living in a glittering world most people can only imagine. But the brighter the spotlight, the deeper the shadows it can hide. Some of the most adored public figures have harbored secrets so explosive that when the truth finally came out, it didn't just make headlines, it tore apart reputations, ended careers, and rewrote public perception in an instant. These aren't the kind of rumors you hear from unreliable tabloids. These are confirmed, documented revelations. Hidden for years behind airtight public relations strategies, expensive legal teams, and carefully crafted images. And when those facets finally cracked, the real stories that emerged were more shocking than anything fans could have imagined. #10, the Olympic gold medalist, who wasn't who she said she was. At the Sydney 2000 Olympics, Marion Jones didn't just win, she dominated. 3 gold medals, 2 bronzes, and the title of the fastest woman alive. Her victories weren't close calls. They were decisive, almost effortless. Her image was everywhere. Towering billboards, glossy magazine covers, and endless TV spots. Nike and Gatorade paid millions to have her as the face of their campaigns. Young athletes were told to train like Marion if they wanted to reach the top. She wasn't just a sports star, she was a symbol of discipline, perseverance, and integrity. But whispers were circulating behind closed doors, in locker rooms, among journalists, and within the elite track community. Some quietly questioned how one athlete could be so far ahead of the competition. The timing was suspicious. Her rise coincided with growing concerns about performance-enhancing drugs in professional sports. The Balco Bay Area Laboratory Cooperative scandal had already implicated several high-profile athletes, and rumors placed Marion's name on that list. When confronted, Jones didn't just deny it, she went on the offensive. She gave interviews passionately defending her innocence, accusing critics of jealousy and bias. Under oath before a federal grand jury, she declared she had never taken banned substances. To the public, her confidence felt genuine. People wanted to believe her. She was charismatic, articulate, and everything about her screamed role model. For years, she kept running both literally and figuratively, fending off accusations while maintaining her elite status. But in 2007, the wall of protection crumbled. Evidence from Balco directly tied her to steroid use, including a designer drug nicknamed the Clear that was almost undetectable at the time. With the truth undeniable, Jones stood before the press, her voice trembling, tears streaming down her face, and admitted she had used performance-enhancing drugs before and during the Sydney Games. Her fall was immediate and devastating. She returned her Olympic medals, saw her name erased from record books, and lost every sponsorship. Far worse than the financial losses was the blow to her legacy. Parents who once held her up as an example to their children now used her as a cautionary tale. In a final humiliation, she was sentenced to 6 months in federal prison, not for doping itself, but for lying to investigators. The image of Marion Jones in handcuffs became one of the most jarring sports photographs of the decade. This wasn't just an athletic scandal, it was a story about the fragility of trust and how quickly admiration can turn to disappointment. #9, the beloved TV dad living a double life. In the late 1980s and early 1990s, Bill Cosby was more than a comedian or actor. He was a cultural institution. As Dr. Cliff Huxtable on The Cosby Show, he played the ultimate TV father. Warm, wise, funny, and morally upright. The show didn't just entertain. It helped reshape perceptions of African-American family life on television. Off-screen, Cosby traveled the country giving speeches about education, discipline, and personal responsibility. He donated millions to colleges and received more than 60 honorary degrees. His reputation was so spotless that even in an era of tabloid scandals, he seemed untouchable. Then, in the mid-2000s, disturbing allegations began to surface. A few women accused Cosby of drugging and sexually assaulting them. At first, the public reaction was disbelief. The accusations didn't fit the man they thought they knew, the moral educator, the loving father figure. Cosby's legal team aggressively denied the claims, and the stories largely faded from the spotlight. But in the 2010s, the floodgates opened. More than 60 women came forward with accounts spanning decades. Their stories were strikingly similar. They described being invited to private meetings or parties, being offered a drink, feeling disoriented, and waking up to find they had been assaulted. Old court documents revealed a 2005 deposition in which Cosby admitted to obtaining quaaludes to give to women he wanted to have sex with. The revelation was chilling not just because of the crimes, but because of the sheer scope and duration of the alleged behavior. The cultural shock was enormous. Reruns of The Cosby Show were pulled from television. Institutions revoked his honorary degrees. Former co-stars spoke out, some expressing disbelief, others saying they had long suspected something was wrong. The legal system caught up in 2018, and Cosby was convicted of aggravated indecent assault and sentenced to prison. Though his conviction was later overturned on a procedural technicality, the court of public opinion had already rendered its verdict. For fans, the betrayal was deeply personal. They had welcomed him into their homes every week for years, laughing with him, learning from his scripted wisdom. To discover that the man they trusted most on television had been hiding a dark, predatory side felt like losing a member of the family. It was a sobering reminder that public personas can be masterfully constructed illusions, and that sometimes the safest-seeming people are the most dangerous. These first two revelations prove one thing. Fame is a powerful shield. It can protect people from scrutiny, sometimes for decades. But when the shield finally cracks, the truth doesn't just damage the person, it shakes the faith of everyone who believed in them. Number 8. The rock star who hid a secret family by the mid-1970s. Steven Tyler was just the lead singer of Aerosmith. He was the walking embodiment of rock and roll excess. His raspy voice, flamboyant scarves, and swagger on stage had cemented him as one of the most recognizable frontmen in music history. Platinum records were piling up. Sold-out world tours had become routine. And his personal life was a carousel of whirlwind romances. High-profile girlfriends and late-night parties that often stretched until sunrise. Fans thought they knew everything about Tyler. Every scandal, every broken hotel room, every public spat with bandmates seemed to be out in the open. But what the world didn't know was that one of the most defining chapters of his life was happening entirely in secret. In 1977, Tyler met actress and model Bebe Buell, fixture in the New York rock scene who had been linked to several famous musicians. Their relationship was brief but intense, and Buell soon became pregnant. At the time, Tyler was living the archetypal rock star life, relentless touring, heavy drug use, and constant media attention. Buell made a decision that would shape the next decade of her daughter's life. She listed her partner at the time, musician Todd Rundgren, as the father on the birth certificate. She later explained that this choice was made to shield her daughter, Liv, from the chaos of Tyler's world. Todd agreed, stepping into the father role with love and dedication, raising Liv as his own. For years, Liv knew nothing of her true parentage. That changed when she was 11 years old and attended an Aerosmith concert. Backstage, she met Tyler and was struck by how much they looked alike: the same lips, same high cheekbones, even similar mannerisms. The pieces began to click into place, especially when she noticed she resembled Tyler's other daughter. Mia Buell confirmed the truth, and the revelation was an emotional shock for Liv, who suddenly had to reconcile the life she knew with a hidden reality. When the story broke publicly in the early 1990s, it exploded across entertainment media. Tabloids ran side-by-side photos of Tyler and Liv, marveling at their likeness. Tyler faced the press, admitting paternity and expressing gratitude to Rundgren for stepping in when he hadn't been able to. "He's her father in every way that matters," Tyler said in interviews, acknowledging his own shortcomings. Liv and Tyler began building a relationship, one that was visible to the public when she appeared in Aerosmith's 1993 music video, Crazy, a move that cemented their familial bond in pop culture history. Public reaction was split. Some admired Tyler for finally stepping up and repairing the relationship, while others criticized him for missing so many of Liv's formative years. Over time, the scandal faded into a quirky footnote in rock history. But for those involved, it was a deeply personal story of secrecy, identity, and reconciliation. Proof that even in the freewheeling world of rock and roll, some truths are too big to stay hidden forever. Number 7. The political actor who was living a lie at home. Arnold Schwarzenegger's life has always read like a blockbuster script. A young man from Austria conquers the world of bodybuilding, dominates Hollywood as an action hero, and then makes an improbable leap into politics, serving to terms as governor of California. Throughout his rise, one constant seemed to anchor his image: his marriage to Maria Shriver. Shriver, a respected journalist and member of the Kennedy family, brought political gravitas and a sense of tradition to their partnership. Together, they were a power couple that blended Hollywood glamour with political prestige, appearing together at red carpet events, campaign rallies, and charity fundraisers. But behind the perfectly curated public image was a secret that would detonate their marriage and shock the world.
Ow.
In May 2011, the Los Angeles Times revealed that Schwarzenegger had fathered a child more than a decade earlier with Mildred Bina, a longtime member of his household staff. The most jaw-dropping part: the boy had grown up in the same household, often playing with Schwarzeneggers for other children. Over the years, the boy's resemblance to Arnold became impossible to ignore. Same jawline, same build, same smile. Reports later revealed that Shriver had suspected something for some time. During a couple's therapy session, she confronted Arnold directly, asking if he was the boy's father. He admitted the truth, and within weeks, the story hit the press. The revelation was front-page news around the world. Paparazzi camped outside Bina's home. Political commentators speculated about the timing, and gossip shows dissected every detail. The fallout was immediate. Shriver moved out, their marriage effectively over after 25 years. The scandal overshadowed Schwarzenegger's political legacy, with critics accusing him of hypocrisy for campaigning on family values while hiding such a personal betrayal. Arnold later addressed the scandal in his memoir, calling it the biggest mistake of my life and expressing regret for the pain he caused his family. Over the years, he has worked to build a relationship with his son, who now publicly embraces his Schwarzenegger lineage. For the public, the revelation was more than a celebrity. A ferret was a reminder that even those who seem to have it all can be living double lives. It also reignited debates about power dynamics, trust, and the ways fame can enable secrecy. Schwarzenegger's story, like Tyler's, proved that the truth has a way of surfacing, no matter how carefully it's hidden. These two revelations highlight the emotional complexity of celebrity secrets. They're not crimes in the legal sense, but they carry deep consequences, fracturing families, altering public perception, and forcing fans to see their idols as flawed human beings. They show that in the hyper-sure world of fame, the hardest truths to face are often the ones closest to home. Number 6. The pop princess who secretly fought for control of her own life for over 2 decades. Britney Spears was one of the most recognizable pop stars on the planet. From her 1998 breakout single, Baby One More Time, to sold-out world tours and a record-breaking Las Vegas residency, she was the very definition of global superstardom. Her life appeared to be a non-stop parade of music videos, hit singles, glittering costumes, and screaming fans. But what the public didn't fully grasp was that behind the perfectly choreographed performances, Britney was living under one of the most restrictive legal arrangements ever placed on a celebrity. In early 2008, following a very public mental health crisis, paparazzi chasing her every move, shocking tabloid covers of her, shaving her head, custody battles over her children, Britney was placed under a court-ordered conservatorship. It was presented as a temporary measure to help her recover, with her father, Jamie Spears, named as her conservator. But what was meant to be short-term quietly stretched into 13 years, giving Jamie and his legal team almost total control over her finances, career, and even personal choices. The arrangement was no secret. The public knew Britney was under a conservatorship. What remained hidden was just how deeply it affected every aspect of her life. She could not make medical decisions without approval. She was reportedly forced to work on tours she didn't want to do. She claimed she was not allowed to remove an IUD, despite wanting more children. For over a decade, she performed in front of millions, while privately. She was unable to drive her own car or choose her own lawyer. In 2019, rumblings began to surface online. Fans started piecing together strange details: her sudden career breaks, cryptic social media posts, and court filings leading to the birth of the #FreeBritney movement. At first, the media dismissed it as overzealous fandom. But in June 2021, Britney herself spoke in open court, delivering a blistering 24-minute statement describing years of forced labor, medication against her will, and constant surveillance. The testimony shocked the world. News outlets that once mocked the movement now treated it as a human rights issue. Celebrities from Christina Aguilera to Cher voiced their support. By November 2021, the conservatorship was terminated, and Britney regained control of her life. But the revelations forever changed her public image, not as a fallen star who needed saving, but as a survivor who had endured over a decade of legal captivity while the world looked on. Her story sparked legislative reforms in California and ignited global conversations about conservatorship abuse, proving that even the most famous people in the world can be stripped of their autonomy in plain sight. Number 5, the comedy legend's hidden struggle with mental illness. Robin Williams was beloved for his unmatched energy, rapid-fire improvisation, and the warmth he brought to every role. Whether making audiences laugh in Mrs. Doubtfire, inspiring them in Dead Poets Society, or touching hearts in Good Will Hunting, he seemed to embody joy itself. He was the guy who could walk into a room and lift everyone's spirits within seconds. But behind that quicksilver humor was a man fighting battles that few could see. Williams had spoken openly about his struggles with depression and addiction, leading the public to believe they understood the source of his pain. But after his death by suicide in August 2014, a more devastating truth emerged. His widow, Susan Schneider Williams, revealed that Robin had been suffering from undiagnosed Lewy body dementia, progressive brain disease often described as a combination of Parkinson's and Alzheimer's, with added psychiatric symptoms. The disease can cause severe depression, anxiety, paranoia, and terrifying hallucinations. Friends noticed Robin becoming unusually anxious on set, forgetting lines and seeming uncharacteristically withdrawn. He underwent tests, but doctors struggled to identify the cause. It wasn't until after his death that an autopsy revealed the extent of the disease, with doctors calling it one of the worst cases they had ever seen. Knowing this changed the entire narrative around his final days. What had looked like depression-driven suicide was, in reality, the culmination of a relentless neurological assault that had robbed him of clarity, memory, and peace. Susan described how the disease was killing him from the inside out, and that his decision to end his life was, in his mind, the only way to escape the confusion and fear it caused. The revelation stunned fans. Many had seen Robin as a symbol of joy and resilience, proof that humor could conquer darkness. Now his death became a rallying cry for greater awareness of Lewy body dementia. Medical organizations reported a surge in inquiries about the disease. Documentaries were made, and Susan began speaking publicly to educate others about the early signs and challenges of diagnosis. Williams's legacy was not tarnished by this truth, it was deepened. The world came to see him not just as a brilliant entertainer, but as a man who faced an unimaginable internal battle with courage and grace for as long as he could. His story became a sobering reminder that the brightest smiles can sometimes hide the deepest pain, and that compassion is needed more than assumptions when it comes to mental health. These two revelations marked a shift in our list from secrets of scandal and betrayal to truths of resilience and tragedy. They showed that not all shocking celebrity secrets are about deception. Some are about surviving the unimaginable while the world watches, unaware of what's really going on. Number 4, the Hollywood golden boy who hid a murder conviction. Mark Wahlberg's rise from a troubled Boston teenager to one of Hollywood. As most bankable stars, is often portrayed as a classic American redemption arc. After a stint as the frontman of the hip-hop group Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch, he reinvented himself as an actor, earning respect for gritty performances in Boogie Nights and The Departed before cementing himself as a reliable box office draw in blockbusters like Transformers and Ted. By his 40s, Wahlberg was a successful businessman, producer, and philanthropist, projecting an image of discipline, faith, and family values. But hidden deep in his past was an incident that painted a far darker picture of the man, long before the cameras loved him. In 1988, at the age of 16, Wahlberg was arrested for attacking 2 Vietnamese men, Then Lam and Ho Trinh, in separate incidents on the same day in Dorchester, Massachusetts. In the first attack, he approached Lam outside a convenience store, hurled racial slurs, and struck him in the head with a large wooden stick so forcefully that Lam was knocked unconscious. Later that evening, Wahlberg encountered Trinh, punching him in the face while again using racial insults. Police arrested Wahlberg, charging him with attempted murder, a charge that was later reduced to felony assault. He ultimately pleaded guilty and served 45 days of a 2-year sentence in a state prison. The assaults were widely reported in local Boston media at the time. But the story faded as Wahlberg's career took off in the 1990s. Many fans who came to know him through his music or movies were completely unaware of the details. That changed decades later when journalists revisited the case, publishing the original police reports and court documents. The revelation shocked people who had only known Wahlberg as a charming, smiling actor on the red carpet. Got on interviews. Wahlberg acknowledged his crimes, calling them terrible mistakes and saying he had worked hard to turn his life around. He cited years of charitable work, especially with at-risk youth, and a clean record since his release as evidence of his reform. In 2014, he applied for a formal gubernatorial pardon, arguing that his past record made it harder for him to expand his business ventures. The move sparked heated debate. Supporters saw it as the final step in his redemption story. Critics saw it as an abuse of privilege, pointing out that most ex-offenders, especially those without celebrity status, struggled for decades without ever getting such opportunities. Van Lam told reporters that he forgave Wahlberg and had moved on with his life. Hotrin, however, said he was surprised and disappointed that Wahlberg had never apologized to him directly. The divide underscored how complicated redemption is, especially in the public eye, where narratives are often shaped less by the truth than by the star's ability to control the story. For many, Wahlberg's success is now forever linked to the knowledge that his past was, indeed, just troubled. It was violent, and someone else paid the price for it. Number 3, the music icon who secretly battled a life-threatening illness. Few artists have ever captivated audiences like Freddie Mercury. As the frontman of Queen, his combination of operatic vocal range, flamboyant showmanship, and sheer charisma made him one of the most unforgettable performers in rock history. From the thunderous stomp of We Will Rock You to the delicate piano of Somebody to Love, Mercury's artistry seemed limitless. But behind the curtain, a devastating secret was quietly shaping his final years. In 1987, Mercury was diagnosed with AIDS, a disease that in the 1980s was still heavily stigmatized and widely misunderstood. Public knowledge of AIDS at the time was marred by fear, prejudice, and misinformation. Celebrities who revealed they had the illness risked losing their careers, their privacy, and in some cases, their friends. For Mercury, who valued his personal privacy fiercely, the choice was clear. He would keep his diagnosis a closely guarded secret. He told only a small inner circle, which included his bandmates and closest friends. They protected his privacy, deflecting rumors even as his health visibly declined. By the late 1980s, speculation was rampant. Tabloids published grainy telephoto images of him looking thinner, and journalists pestered him with questions about his health, which he sidestepped with humor or vague answers. Even during these years, he continued recording some of Queen's most powerful music, including I Want It All and The Show Must Go On. The latter recorded when he was so ill that he reportedly downed a measure of vodka and delivered the vocal in a single, unforgettable take. By 1990, his public appearances had become rare, and when he did appear, fans could see the toll the disease was taking. Still, he refused to confirm the rumors. Then on November 23, 1991, Mercury released a public statement confirming that he had AIDS. It was brief, dignified, and direct. I felt it correct to keep this information private to date, to protect the privacy of those around me. However, the time has come for my friends and fans around the world to know the truth. Now, just 24 hours later, he died at the age of 45. The timing of the revelation coming only a day before his death stunned the world. It transformed his passing from a personal tragedy into a global wake-up call about the realities of AIDS. Tributes poured in from fellow musicians, political leaders, and fans across continents. The Freddie Mercury tribute concert for AIDS awareness in 1992 drew 72,000 people to Wembley Stadium and was broadcast to over 1 billion viewers worldwide, raising millions for AIDS research. Mercury's decision to keep his illness secret until the very end remains debated. Was it an act of self-protection or a way to maintain the image he wanted remembered? Whatever the answer, the impact of that final statement cannot be overstated. Helped humanize the AIDS crisis for millions and cemented Mercury His legacy not only as a music legend, but as a symbol of dignity in the face of unimaginable hardship. These two stories, one about a hidden act of violence, the other about a hidden battle with illness, show the extremes of what can lie behind a celebrity's carefully curated image. They remind us that fame can both obscure the truth and give it unprecedented power once it's revealed. Number 2, the tech genius who hid a secret daughter. Steve Jobs, co-founder of Apple, is remembered as one of the most influential innovators of the modern age. He reshaped how the world communicates, listens to music, and uses technology. With his trademark black turtleneck jeans and minimalist stage presentations, he cultivated the image of a visionary who thought differently and demanded perfection from everyone around him. But behind the inspirational speeches and sleek product launches was a deeply personal secret, one that contradicted the image of the enlightened, forward-thinking leader he projected. In 1978, when Jobs was just 23, his high school girlfriend Kristen Brennan gave birth to a baby girl named Lisa. Instead of embracing fatherhood, Jobs denied he was the father. He even testified in court that he was sterile and could not have children, despite a paternity test showing a 94% probability that Lisa was his daughter. While Jobs was busy building Apple into a billion-dollar company, Kristen and Lisa struggled financially, with Kristen at one point relying on welfare. Friends of the couple described Jobs' denial as cold and calculated, a decision to separate his rapidly growing public image from personal complications. Despite occasional private visits, Jobs refused to acknowledge Lisa publicly for years. In a strange twist, Apple released a computer in 1983 named Lisa. Jobs insisted it stood for Local Integrated Software Architecture, but many insiders believed it was a nod to his daughter, even if he wouldn't admit it at the time. It wasn't until 1986, after a lengthy legal battle, that Jobs formally acknowledged Lisa as his child and began supporting her financially. The relationship that followed was complex. Lisa lived with Jobs at times, but their bond was often strained. In her memoir, Small Fry, Lisa recounted moments of connection, her father teaching her to swim, taking her on trips, but also episodes of rejection and emotional distance. The public revelation of Jobs' initial denial, contrasted with his later portrayal as a devoted family man, left many shocked. It reminded the world that genius does not excuse personal failings, and that even the most celebrated leaders can make choices that leave lasting scars on those closest to them. Number 1, the royal icon who lived a hidden love. Story: Princess Diana was one of the most photographed women in the world, her every move chronicled by tabloids and dissected by royal watchers. Her 1981 marriage to Prince Charles was broadcast to hundreds of millions worldwide, cementing her as the people's princess. She used her platform to champion causes from AIDS awareness to landmine clearance, and her empathy and openness won her admirers across the globe. But while the public followed every step of her royal journey, one of her deepest personal relationships remained hidden for years. In 1995, Diana met Hasnat Khan, a British Pakistani heart surgeon, while visiting a friend in the hospital. Friends later said Diana was immediately drawn to his humility, intelligence, and dedication to his work, qualities that contrasted sharply with the formality and political maneuvering of royal life. For the next 2 years, they carried on a romance in extraordinary secrecy. Khan would visit Kensington Palace through side doors, and the couple would meet in low-profile restaurants or at the homes of trusted friends. Those who knew Diana during this time described her as genuinely happy, grounded in a way she hadn't been for years. She reportedly considered converting to Islam and moving to Pakistan to be with Khan, even meeting his family during a private trip, but the realities of her position made a lasting relationship nearly impossible. The constant intrusion of the paparazzi, combined with the cultural and religious differences between them, created obstacles neither could overcome. By mid-1997, the relationship had ended, though both reportedly remained fond of each other. Just weeks later, Diana began seeing Dodi fade, and the two were famously photographed together on a yacht in the Mediterranean. When Diana died in a car crash in Paris that August, the world mourned her as a global icon. Only after her death did the public learn the full story of her romance with Khan. Thanks to interviews with her friends and with Khan himself, He described her as one of the most extraordinary women he had ever met, and said their relationship ended because he wanted a life away from constant media attention. The revelation reframed Diana's final years, showing a woman searching for love and stability outside the constraints of royal duty. It also humanized her in a new way, not just as a princess in a gilded cage, but as a person willing to defy expectations in pursuit of personal happiness. These last two stories end our countdown on a deeply human note. They remind us that fame and power do not erase personal flaws, complicated relationships, or the desire for genuine connection. Whether it's a tech visionary denying his own child, or a princess guarding her most intimate relationship, these truths show that the people we idolize often carry burdens and make choices the public never sees until the day those choices come to light. And there you have it, the 10 most shocking celebrity secrets ever revealed, each peeling back the carefully polished surface of fame to expose the messy, complicated reality beneath. Fame magnifies the public image, but it can also act as a shield, hiding the most personal truths until the moment they break free. If you enjoyed this journey into the hidden lives of the world's biggest stars, forget to hit like and share this video with friends who love uncovering the stories behind the headlines. Subscribe to Top Tier 10 for more jaw-dropping top 10s every week. And tap the bell icon so you never miss our next countdown. Your support helps us bring you the most fascinating, surprising, and unforgettable stories from around the globe.